Amy.
Amy's right down there.
We did it last time.
Yes, we're looking for the password for guest. Southgate Schools. Nobody's going to guess.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the January 24th, 2023 regular board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. That brings us to the revision of the agenda, or approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Supported by Mr. Green. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda.
Okay, we'll start here with the presentations. And it is my tremendous pleasure tonight to open our board meeting to honor our marching band and color guard tonight. So this fall, this group did the impossible. They pulled together 55 members, many of whom were new, and competed against bands with hundreds of students, hundreds of members. And they did absolutely spectacular, retaining their 4th place in the state. And all of that credit goes to hours and hours of hard work that each one of these kids puts in on a daily basis. We heard them all over our parking lots, all summer long, in the fall, and the outcome has been spectacular. So today I'm going to invite our director, Zach Novicki, and those that support him, Brendan Walters, as well as others that are supporting that I don't have by name at this moment, but I'd like them all to come up. We have a special plaque, and we'd like for the band to come on up and get a picture with the plaque that we have to honor them for the incredible work that they have done. So if we can have the band come on up, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Novicki.
Cool. I really can't say a whole lot more than what was just said about our great kids. We had an incredible season this year, and really the odds were absolutely stacked against us. And I think a lot of it has to very much go, or is very much because of our kids and the amount of work that they put in. I know every band director says this about their program, that we really believe we have the best kids in the school. Just because of the life lessons that they learn while within our programs. We also, I would be a fool not to give a shout out to all of our parents and volunteers that make so much of what we do possible. So thank you so much to the board and for recognizing our kids, because they deserve all in the world.
Okay, the next presentation is in honoring our Board of Education. Every January, we take time to recognize the work that the public servants that represent those who serve on the board are. And this year, you have in front of you small Mexican flowers that are from North Point Elementary IB for you, and a little memory book in honor of the work that you did this year in opening North Point Elementary, and all of the excitement that has come with that program, and this is a small thank you for that effort. So boards of education are public servants that are demonstrating their dedication to civic duty and voluntarily contribute countless of hours of service on behalf of our students. They're strong advocates for the needs of students in their communities. They are committed to ensuring health and safety, engaging learning environments that lead to academic success. Boards understand the importance of quality education and know that this is the first factor and most important factor in the success of our communities. Our Board of Education plays a vital role in what represents and makes a Titan, and especially in this case. I have here a plaque, this Board of Education, and it's in recognition and appreciation of the dedicated work of the Southgate Community Board of Education, and it has its 2022 achievements this year. So this is your night to stand up here in front with a picture. General education transportation got restarted in 2022. North Point Elementary got reopened for the first time in many years in 2022. Our AstroTurf football field finally settled into its rightful place in 2022. We'll have the natatorium and weight room addition, whose bulk of its work was in 2022. Our Anderson High School branding, everything that you see around our campus, was in 2022. Shelters and Allen Elementary renovations, a sinking fund, an ongoing dedicated facility revenue source, was in 2022. And then Smart Boot, as we've already experienced, is a revolutionary safety experience for kids, and it will be in every one of our schools very soon. And at the bottom of this plaque, it says, "You make us Titan proud." So this is going to go in our little central office board. It'll be hung up. It has a picture of the 2022 board, and we'd like to, if we can, capture a photo with our Board of Education as a thank you for the work that you've done this year. So if you can come on up out of your comfort zones and into the front. Okay, so at this time, we have our first policy read that, for our first packet. We have two recommendations that are coming from the policy committee. One of them is to change some of the language regarding the establishment of committees. At this point, our policy language states that committee members are appointed by the board president. The new language would say that new board members will be appointed by a vote of the board, as opposed to by the board president, and that represents our current practicing procedures at this point. We're also adding a DMS tardy policy that we'd like to start second semester, and it really outlines that once a student receives 4 or more tardies or late marks in one semester, they will start to have a disciplinary action that ranges from administrative intervention to detention. And that tardy counts start over each semester. There is a breakdown of all of the variations of administrative intervention that will happen, but I do commend DMS, because Davidson Middle School, because the policy is centered around keeping kids in class and not having them miss instructional time, and that was a big push for them when they created that tardy policy. So this is just a first read. It's for you to, if you have any questions at this time, I might be able to answer some of those. If not, you can think through that, and this will come before you again as an action item at the next Board of Education meeting. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to citizens' comments. Any member of the public who would like to address the board for up to 3 minutes can come up to the mic and do so. Please just state your name and provide your address for us. So first I have, excuse me, Susan Patton.
Out in their experiences and the way that they had been treated. Girls and parents continuously are speaking out to both the superintendent and to the athletic director, yet these young athletes feel as if their voices are being silenced. So I am here today to stand up for a change, to make the voices of these young girls heard. I am here to fight for the girls in the past, present, and future. I'm here to protect the mental health of all these young cheerleaders. I appreciate the time that has been given to me today in order for these voices to be heard. I have some letters written by parents and girls themselves. I have many more than this, but this was a short notice. Based on their own experience, if you can please take your own time to read them outside of this meeting, it would be greatly appreciated. These letters are not to be read out loud, but to help spread the awareness of the ongoing mental abuse that these young teenage girls have gone through. I have, they're in, I don't know if you guys can take them. There's piles for each one of you guys. I do have one quick question. When there's an when they do an investigation, my question to you is an investigation where they investigate all parties? Can somebody answer that? When there's an investigation going on, are all parties supposed to be investigated?
So this is public comment. This is just the opportunity for you to comment
Oh,
to
so
the
can
board
you-
and address the board.
There's no
This
answer?
isn't, no, it's not a,
Okay, that's
it's not
fine.
an
I didn't know.
interactive.
I would like to know that.
Sure.
Because it's been not done. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, any of your concerns you have, you can direct to the superintendent. Superintendent will forward on anything you have to us. Okay, thank you. Next is Alana Whidbey. Sorry if I didn't say that right.
Can I just start talking? Okay. I'm speaking on behalf of another athlete that quit. We've been here before over and over again, year after year. So many voices left feeling unheard, so much anxiety, so many tears. Too many young high school girls, cheerleading isn't only a sport, but also become a home. When we think of a home, we usually think of a place, but home is truly a feeling. Now you may be wondering why I'm comparing two. Well, for many of us, young cheerleaders at Southgate Anderson High School, we feel as if we have lost part of our lives, a part that feels like home. I've been at the high school for years now, but that doesn't even compare to the amount of years I've been cheering. Throughout my whole life in the cheer community, I've watched beautiful lifelong friendships form and grow. But just in these past couple years, I've watched them break and fall apart faster than you can ever imagine. I've watched the Southgate Anderson cheer program fall apart right in front of my eyes in the matter of months, all because of one person, Colette Norcia. As an athlete, there is always this feeling in my bones and drive in my heart to accomplish my goals. Although this feeling isn't permanent, day by day, this feeling is slowly lost. The love I've had for cheer is fading away. Showing up to practices gets harder, the tears become bigger, and the anxiety shoots through the roof. Knees shaking on the mat, scared to make a mistake, all because of what your coach might say to you at any point in time. This is the feeling she has not caused not only to myself, but to other girls as well. Now I know you may hear Colette Norcia, 3-time state champion coach, but don't be fooled by the championship rings and the trophies. The mental and physical health of young teenage girls is more important than any state title. Teenage girls spend their days battling the unkind words spoken on them by grown woman, mother, teacher, and coach. Calling teenagers girls skinny, flat, whores, druggies, crybabies, and the list goes on. Teenage girls losing their friends because they choose to discontinue with cheer for their mental health. Don't be friends with them. They betrayed me. They're a bad friend, the coach says. We're just teenage girls battling the negativity and childishness of a grown adult woman. A game, it's a game, putting girls against one another. Very personal information on girls shared in groups. Girls humiliated, degraded, embarrassed. It continues. Her boyfriend is ugly and gets bad grades. Take a picture with her boyfriend and post it to make her jealous. She just wants to sabotage the team. This may be hard to believe, but it happens almost every single day. When looking back, I won't remember my high school cheers experience as something beautiful and unforgettable. I will remember it as heartbreak, tears, and overall negativity. As many cheerleaders are graduating this year, many will never get to experience this feeling of home again. They were stripped of it by the words and actions of human that they shouldn't be to praise and look up to. It has been so sad watching this program fall apart. It is time to do the right thing, make a change, take the step towards building a program that supports one another, encourages each other, respects one another, and pushes one another to be the best they can be. Do it for the high school girls that got stripped of this experience, all the ones in the past, all the ones in the present. Do it to prevent the girls in the future from having the same experiences. Please make a change. We all ask for a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment. That brings us to item G on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. That consists of minutes from January 10th, 2023 regular meeting and the HR update. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is passed. Takes us to action item number 1, the approval of the tentative agreement with Teamsters 214 Food Service Unit.
I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a tentative agreement that's been ratified by the Teamsters 214 Food Service Unit, and we do believe that this was an essential agreement to maintain a staff workforce and make sure that we also have all of our staff in place and at comparable wages.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Seeing none, we'll bring the discussion back to the board, and I'll entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the tentative agreement with the Teamsters 214 Food Service Unit.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Lamas. Any discussion? Dr. Pomponio.
Congratulations to the food service workers. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Brings us to action item number 2, approval of the purchase of food service ovens and warmers. Who's presenting this for us?
Thank you. I'm going to have Mr. Rodriguez come on up.
No, that's okay. Good evening. How are you? Good. Yeah, the food service budget is in a good condition right now. We have an excess fund balance, and we looked at our equipment at the elementary schools that we use every day. They are cook and hold units. They don't require hoods, so that's why they're made for, elementary schools where we can cook on site. They are at least 16 to 17 years old, so I think this is the perfect time. We have money to spend. Let's reinvest in our equipment that could be giving us trouble down the road. And the oven at Allen actually has a hood, which is very unique to an elementary school. So that will have a regular confection oven that requires a hood. Just by looking at it, it has to be at least 25, maybe pushing 30 years old. So now's the time to make the purchases. And by the way, like I had mentioned in the memo, I did go through Wayne Risa CoPro, which qualifies for the 3 bid. So I can pick any vendor that's awarded through CoPro, and the 2 that I requested bids for, you can see there's a big difference. So I suggest that we go with Douglas Equipment. It's an apple for apple equipment, so it's really makes sense to go with Douglas Food or Douglas Equipment.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Dr. Pomponio.
Do we have any grants for the food service budget that has to be spent at a certain time, or is it just all our
It's all our
funds?
general
Okay.
fund, yeah. We're also getting from USDA Supply Chain Assistance Fund. We had a round 2 this year. They're talking about a round 3. So that's about close to $62,000 that we're getting additional monies to. That's in addition to our excess fund balance, so we're in a very good place.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Lamas.
Can you describe the plans we have to maintain the equipment? Obviously, we're making a purchase before the ones we have are dead, which is a good thing. So, but can you describe what your life expectancy is and how we plan to maintain those, and any costs you see in the future for that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like 15 years is probably the most you're going to get out of equipment. They don't make equipment like they used to, 30, 40 years ago. 10, 15 years is the most you're going to get out of equipment. But as far as maintaining them, they do have a warranty. I believe it's a 3-year, but we just make service calls as needed. So really, that's really nothing major.
Mr. Sage.
Is there any value to, I know the equipment's currently working, is there any value to that, to the company's trade-in value of any sort?
Not really. I mean, it's lived its life. There's really it's not worth selling, and trying to sell something like that is difficult. Yeah.
Dr. Pomponio.
Do we have a list of all of our current equipment so we
We
know
do.
what? Okay, good.
Yes, we are required to do that.
Oh, good.
And update it every 2 years.
So we know like how old something's getting. So if you got extra money, you can replace something.
Because we did that about 3 years ago, and I didn't have prior knowledge of when things were purchased, but we are keeping it updated today.
Oh, great.
With our new stuff that'll be added on to our asset.
Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on item number 2.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the food service ovens and warmers with a purchase price of $82,140.48.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, action item number 3 is approval of the USAC E-rate projects. Who will be presenting this for us?
We're going to invite our consultant, Bob Rice, to come on up and speak on this behalf. We also have our IT director here with us as well, Amy, so she can answer questions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I think you've already seen the basic information here of our E-rate bids for the current year. Last year, the district went out to bid for quite a bit of network electronics and some other upgrades. The work that I did working on the E-rate and also working in conjunction with Plant Moran on the bond. And we received 80% reimbursement on those funds. We are continuing to work on our bond project. I did a small bid for North Point to finish taking care of the necessary electronics to finish upgrading the North Point building. And that went quite well, and again, we'll receive an 80% reimbursement on that. And then the big project that Amy and I discussed and decided to move forward with the blessing of the superintendent was to bid and replace our self-provisioned fiber, which is our fiber optic network that the school district owns. And they have, as Amy has written up, they have 12 strands out to each building, and we use 2 strands at a time to keep the connections active. Currently, I think there's 3 buildings that are down to 2 strands left, and if one of those 2 strands breaks, then that building will be out of service, and it could be brought into an irreparable situation, which is the situation we currently have with North Point. So for North Point Schools, we are currently leasing a point-to-point connection from WOW to have service from our high school over there right now. The goal is, with this upgrade, is to bring 12 new strands to each one of the buildings, including North Point, which requires us to replace the duct that is underneath I-75, which is not an easy or an inexpensive cost, but that's necessary. And we also have a crushed duct at getting to North Point underneath the railroad tracks that cross as well. So both of those need to be addressed. The current service provider that we use for our maintenance for the district, they estimated over $51,000 just to make the repairs underneath I-75 and the railroad tracks to bring North Point back up. That does not address the need for the other buildings that are down to 2 single strands. What happens over time is these strands get broken for one reason or another. Somebody hits a telephone pole that they're on and they get knocked down, so they have to be repaired. A lot of squirrel chews, particularly in the 20-year-old cable that we have in the Southgate plant. Back when we did them back then, they actually put peanut oil in the casings. It's a nice invite for squirrels to chew. So I'm sure that we have many squirrel chew damages in the fiber optic network as well that are causing these degradations in the system. So what we want to do with the help of the USF program and getting an 80% reimbursement then is to replace that self-provisioned fiber. When we went out to bid, we looked at lit fiber, dark fiber solutions from our bidders as well as our self-provisioned fiber. And as you saw, I provided a 25-year cost analysis because this new fiber should last the district at least 25 years. And when you look at the cost of the fiber, the maintenance costs, ongoing maintenance costs, and the replacement of the network electronics, all of which we get an 80% reimbursement on, it actually is more cost effective to continue to own your own self-provisioned fiber and have it maintained. So tonight we ask that the board not only pass the small North Point addition to the network electronics, but the self-provisioned fiber plant replacement that we can get started on right away this summer. And hopefully by fall we can have, particularly those areas that are in dire straits, all of that fiber replaced. And by the end of June of 2024, all that fiber project should be done, everything should be lit, and you'll have 12 working strands to every building, which will give us growth moving forward into the future. So that's roughly the information I wanted to share with you and answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Dr. Pomponio.
I have a few. The first one is, are we getting any compensation from the severing of the fiber, the optics, the lines from I-75 construction?
No, we are not.
No, okay.
I don't know if we really know when that happened. It was during construction at some point. We weren't using North Point at that point. You guys were leasing the building to someone else, so we weren't even aware it happened. And now we come back, 2 years later and find out that it's been damaged, so we don't really know who caused the damage to go after.
So now you said that there might have been some damage from the types of things they put in there. How are we protecting it with the new fiber optics? That's, like, is there a different coating or?
Yes, it's going to be called armor coating, which basically has a Teflon coating on it, and they, of course, no longer use peanut oil into the casings as well, which will help.
Right.
But yeah, it's much more durable. We've learned a lot over the last 20 to 25 years about self-provision fiber or fiber optic networks and how to keep it up and running when we have it in an aerial plant like we do in Southgate, and it should last that 25 years without any problem, possibly even 30 or 40 years.
And so that brings me to the question of, I'm not sure what self-provision.
Self-provision means basically that you own it, Southgate
Okay.
Community Schools owns it, and then obviously fiber is fiber optics.
And then the dark and lit fiber?
So lit fiber is when a company such as like AT&T or WOW or Comcast brings the connection into the school. They own the connection, and they actually put the electronics on the end to light it, and then the school connects to it from there. Dark fiber, they bring in two dark strands, and then the school district would put their electronics on it to light those.
Okay.
So it's a difference of ownership versus letting the company. And like I say, when we look at the cost analysis, it's actually more cost effective for the school district, and it provides them way more future growth. So if we ever have to go, say we have the need to go for more than 2 strands, we need to light a second GBIC at one of the buildings because we have so much data traffic. Well, we've got the six pairs sitting there that we can go ahead and light those. And so it really future-proofs the district moving forward.
Okay, and I'm sorry, one more question. So for the amount that the district's responsible for, do we pay that all in one lump sum, or is that in payments, installments?
It can be done. There's a couple different ways we need to do it. We have to work with our service provider in that, and usually USAC's, the federal government program that oversees this, they're kind of sticklers about paying service providers for doing partial work. They don't like to invoice partial invoices, whereas, you know, this company is going to have a lot of money invested in it. So normally the way a fiber plant goes is they will invoice periodically to the district. The district will pay that invoice. Then they will let me know when they paid it. Then I will file the 80% reimbursement and get that 80% back. It usually takes 2 or 3 weeks once I file the reimbursement for the money to come back to the district through a direct deposit from the federal government.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on action item number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the USAC E-rate project as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a discussion for the board workshop date. So I guess we need to pull out our calendars here and see when we would be open for that.
That is correct, February 7th.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn by Dr. Pomponio, supported by Mr. Sage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.